Welcome back to The Explainer. So today, we're going to tackle a big one: how to build an apprenticeship program that's always ready for inspection, without all that last-minute panic and stress. You know the feeling, right? That email from Ofsted lands, and bam! It kicks off this mad scramble for documents. It's like a race against time just to get everything in order. But honestly, what if I told you it doesn't have to be like that? There's a much, much better way. So, that frantic scramble, it's not just a necessary evil you have to put up with. No way. It's actually a massive red flag. It's a sign that there's a deeper problem with how evidence is being managed on a day-to-day basis. All right, so the first step to getting this right is understanding that there are two totally different kinds of evidence. And trust me on this, inspectors can spot the difference from a mile away. Okay, so on one hand, you've got what's called naturally occurring evidence. This is the good stuff. It's just the natural result of delivering a really great program. But then, on the other hand, you have manufactured evidence. And that's the stuff that's cobbled together just for the inspection. It's basically the difference between showing what you really do versus putting on a big show. Now, this first type, the naturally occurring stuff, that's the absolute gold standard. It's exactly what Ofsted wants to see because it proves that quality isn't just something you talk about. It's baked into everything you do, every single day. But that manufactured evidence, it could look perfect, right? All the boxes are ticked, but it just falls apart under a little bit of pressure. Think about it. An inspector asks an apprentice about a review that you know was filled in last week. Suddenly, that perfect piece of paper doesn't just look bad, it completely destroys any trust. So the real secret here is to stop thinking about creating documents and start thinking about building good habits and solid systems. Systems that create that great evidence naturally, as part of the job. And you can really see the difference it makes. A strong evidence culture, the evidence it produces is real, it's credible, it actually reflects what the apprentices are experiencing. A weak culture, though, well, that's all about backfilling records and creating these mountains of paperwork that don't actually improve anything for anyone. Which brings us to the paperwork itself. Look, best practice here isn't about who has the biggest stack of binders. Not at all. It's all about quality and making sure your records are actually useful, that they help you make good decisions. So let's break that down. Your records, they need to be crystal clear about what was decided and why. They've got to be consistent, no matter who's filling them out. You need a clear audit trail so you can see how things have changed. And maybe most importantly, you need to be able to find what you're looking for without having a full-blown panic search. Okay, to make this super practical, let's focus on 4 key areas for collecting evidence. If you can get these 4 pillars right, you are absolutely on the right track. First up, progress reviews. And this is so important. Don't just write down, "We talked about X." No. You have to document the actual actions. What was decided? Who's going to do it? What are the next steps? When you do that, a simple meeting suddenly becomes powerful, concrete evidence of progress. Next, training plans. This has to be a living, breathing document. It's not something you create on day one and then just file away forever. It needs to reflect the apprentice's actual journey right now, with every single update tracked so you can see how it's evolved. Number 3 is off-the-job training or OTJT evidence. And honestly, this one just comes down to good discipline. It's about making sure everything is recorded properly, that it actually meets the official definition, and if you ever fall behind the plan, that you've got the proper documentation to explain why. And fourth, feedback. Look, it's great to collect feedback from employers and apprentices, but that's only half the battle. You have to use it. Inspectors want to see that clear connection. We got this feedback, and this is the improvement we made because of it. That's what shows you're actually listening and evolving. Okay, so we've covered how to build a solid system. But what do the inspectors really want to see when they show up? How does all this fit into their view of the world? Well, first off, here's a quote that really busts a huge myth. Ofsted explicitly says they don't expect written evidence for every single standard. So let that sink in. They are not looking for some gigantic binder where you've ticked a million boxes just for the sake of it. So what do they want? They want to understand the real lived experience of your apprentices. And how do they do that? By talking to people, your staff, your employers, the apprentices themselves. They'll look at your key day-to-day records, not some fancy PowerPoint you created just for them. This brings up a really important question that you've got to be ready for. How do you prove your evidence is real and not just for show? And the answer isn't some perfectly rehearsed speech. The real answer is baked right into your everyday culture. The best possible answer you can give is something like this. We only use the working documents that we produce as part of our normal delivery. Our systems are here to help us manage quality and support our apprentices, not just to pass an inspection. That's it. Inspection readiness becomes a side effect of just being really good at what you do. All right, let's bring this all home. Here's a simple, practical action plan to be inspection ready, not just for a week, but every single day. The whole idea here is to stop prepping for inspection and start improving your actual real-life practice. That's what really gets you ready. So you can rehearse having professional conversations instead of memorizing a presentation. You can stress test an apprentice's journey from start to finish. And please, reduce the burden. Get rid of all those duplicate logs and matrices. Just focus on what really moves the needle: the quality of your reviews, your OJT, and your coaching. Want a simple stress test you can do right now? Seriously, go pick any apprentice at random. Can you calmly pull up their current training plan, their last 2 progress reviews, and their OTG at evidence? If the answer is yes, well, congratulations, you're ready. It's that simple. If you're ready to deliver, you're ready for inspection. And that right there is the big takeaway. The best providers don't get ready for Ofsted. They just run their programs so incredibly well that an inspection is nothing more than an outsider looking in on their normal, excellent practice. So focus on being great every day. And an inspection just becomes a chance to show off all your hard work. And there's nothing scary about that.